Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in, because in this video we are going to take a close look at the 16-bit HD portable device, Pocket SNES console. And this thing, I just going to be honest, I wanted to check it out here on the channel for a very long time. They are not like really cheap, but what you can do actually is like playing some original games on the go. But the question remains, how is the compatibility with the games? Because Super NES, for the people who didn't know, does have like a different kind of games with different kind of chips. I do have a couple of them, so we can test it out. So the first thing that, the first thing that comes in mind seeing this, man, this is one clunky device. Oh, absolutely. Okay, so the kind of weird is like when you're looking at the shoulder buttons, it's a completely different mechanism that we have seen before. The feedback on the buttons, when you're holding them, you don't feel anything at all. So that's a little bit of a bummer. The D-pad is huge and I love it. But also the touch itself, you can see it comes with a very nice shaped D-pad. And the touch itself, it's quite nice. At the front we're only going to get one speaker. And at the right we do have like two kinds of, let's say, buttons. The hollow buttons and the normal versions over here. The touch itself, it's quite nice, and to be honest, I really love it that they made the decision to put two kinds of basically like buttons on here, because it just gives you like a different, better gaming experience. Also, when you're going to look at the level, also there we do have like a difference if a camera wants to freaking like focus. Oh boy. Alright, there we go. You can see like there is a difference between level, but also the shape of the button, and will give your thumb a very nice, comfortable way to play. Over here we have like function button, one for the brightness, select and start. But also we're going to take a close look at that later. At the bottom we do have like the HDMI port. So basically what you can do is just use this thing like in game system. But yeah, there is one thing you need to take consideration. Well, you already noticed there is no controller port. So that is a little bit of a bummer in my opinion, but doesn't spoil the fun. But nevertheless, let's take a close look at all the other ports. This is the control port, and this is the reason I just think it's quite interesting they're adding a control port, and I'll tell you why. This brand has the option for for adding external controller ports. So that's the reason why you just need to get yourself like a separate adapter. And yep, you need to buy it separately. But then we have a full SNES. Over here we're having a scrolling wheel for volume control. We also have a headphone jack. But not to forget, of course, the switch for the aspect ratio. Then we have a region switch. And here we have the input for micro USB for charging. And of course the on and off switch. See that? And the LED for powering it on. Okay, so powering on, it will give you an indication how far your battery is depleted or full, depends how you look at it. And of course the display doesn't show anything because there's no built-in games. So the first thing that we're going to do is remove the screen protector. Oh, before we wait, oh this is so, oh man, I totally forgot. ASMR mode. But let's take a close look at some game cards and I'll do a quick testing which one will work. But how about the cartridge slots? Are we talking is difficult you? So when you're looking at the inside, we do have like a mechanism over here, and that seems to be like holding your cartridges or something like that. Yeah, it doesn't really work for me. Anyway, how about the cartridge slot? So when you're going to plug in the cartridge itself, you don't need to put in a lot of force to get it in, but how getting it out? Because I've noticed like pulling them out like straight like that is absolutely no joke. So you need to wiggle it around from left to right, do with a wicked jiggle. Man, and there we go. But it will take a very long time to get this thing out. That's way more difficult than the original Super NES or Super Famicom whatsoever. But how about the display quality? The display quality is mwah. It's not like the best superb display you will have ever seen in your life, or like the older school like LCDs, not like the really cheap ones. But you can see the viewing angle is not great at all. Another thing is the volume control. I'm just going to be honest, like this thing is maximum, and the audio quality with this tiny speaker is quite disappointing. And also with the brightness control, you do have like a couple of settings. I think it's like a minor difference between them. I do like a lot of them, but this is basically the brightest setting. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to try out is the D-pad itself. It does have a very nice feeling overall, but the thing is, when you're pressing left or right, I do feel a difference. So that is quite annoying, especially with fighting games. Okay, and I just to be honest, like I've been trying to do some gameplay and some moves out of this, but you need to get really lucky getting some moves out. So this is absolutely a no-go when it comes to fighting games. Another product that works fine, this is just the Super Plus 801. That's basically like a flash card from China. These things also work on this device, so that's pretty damn cool. The next test was the multi-game card, and as you can see it works very well. It doesn't really matter what kind of multi-card you're using, it's just booting up whatsoever. The next one is going to be a Japanese game. This thing is multi-region, so you can slap in every single game. Take consideration, if you have problems, do switch underneath the machine. There can be a switch between regions. That will maybe help you out if you have some problems. So we're having here this Super Retro Games. This is a card which you're normally only going to get with, like, say, there's a system like an HDMI Super NES. And I've tried it on multiple systems, but surprisingly it seems to be working on this Potable, so you can even play some 8-bit games on the go. It seems to be working just fine. So to my surprise is that it actually works pretty damn good. So let's boot up some subby-wubby gameplay. Of course I choose like the most weirdest game on here, Mortal Kombat, the Homebrew Edition. You're choosing Sub-Zero and you're going to get Striker. Okay, the sound is kind of weird to be honest. So the other thing I wanted to try out, this is of course a PAL game. But then, okay, so let's just try out the aspect ratio. Oh, it's so much better. Let's go to PAL. Wow, that's completely messed up as you can see by the display. So let's give this thing a reset. Let's see if the screen still shows up so weird. Okay, so maybe it's the speaker. We're going to basically like check it out with HDMI connect because I wanted to hear this thing on the big screen. Yeah, so this is not going to be working any soon. So let's boot it up in the PAL version with the settings. Yeah, okay, so this is basically that's what we're going to get. Okay, so you need to fully reset the system. Let's get into some gameplay, actually just see what it is. Another thing I'm curious about how these will respond, like they don't have any feedback whatsoever, any mentioned in the beginning, or not at all. But you can see, to my surprise, they are seems to be working just fine, and they are like absolutely huge, so you cannot really miss them out. I must say that makes this thing really, like say, nice to play. You can see like they are super sensitive. Take a banana, Donkey Kong. Oh yeah. See, I'm not barely touching them, and he's just randomly jumping. So when it comes to actually the gameplay, especially when it comes to the D-pad, already mentioned before, for fighting games, absolutely horrible, but for racing games, it's just fine. Let's get into the training of Starwing, just to see actually how it works out. No weird audio stuff going on, or glitches whatsoever. So far I've tested, there are like some good support when it comes to these games. In this game you will use every single direction. It's kind of weird that it doesn't really have a nice response for fighting games or when you're going to play a game like Starwing. You know, I always wanted to say Star Fox somehow, I don't know why, but here we go, drop the bomb. Whoa, yeah. Okay, another test. The final test is just going to be Tailgater with some Super Game Boy. So with my previous like testing of some cartridges with the Super Game Boy combined with some clone system, I had so many issues. Oh man, I love the soundtrack. Absolutely great. So I was surprised to see everything I throw at this thing works just fine. Can you see yourself walking around with such a clunky device? Nobody, go away. Another thing I didn't unbox is the controller itself, because that is something I just wanted to save for later. HDMI cable, then it comes with, of course, the power supply, everything that we're going to need. Wow, this thing feels really cheap, I'm just going to be honest with that. And of course the wireless controllers. Oh man, I can tell you, this feels so much better, especially the D-pad. You can just feel it, the way how this plays. I have seen these controllers before with the Super NES, like the one I've reviewed, I think a couple of years ago. Yeah, they do indicate play 1, play 2, so I'm guessing there is no way of switching them back. Nope, no way for switching. Select start rubberized. Also the buttons feel so different. And the D-pad. Let's try that one for fighting games. Oh yeah. This controller, absolutely. The controller itself works with 2 AAA batteries. I'm hoping I'm going to get full ones, so let's test it out. Ah, there we go. We can test it like that. Very good. So there is a screw in here, and I can tell you they go like they close up very well, to the point I'm thinking it's a little bit too difficult to open them up. Alright, so let's plug it in. Let's get some gaming on the go, or better said on the go, on your television. Alright, so let's power on this bad boy and let's see how this actually works. I did notice there comes basically audio from the machine itself and the television. But the weird thing is, or better said, like the funny thing is when you're going to do the sound test. So the intro sounds completely like messed up. I will give you an example. So when you're going to boot up the system itself, you're going to turn off the television. You can just hear how messed up it sounds. Here it goes. Beginning. That sounds so weird, you know, when you're going to boot up the system actually on an HDMI port, you can just hear it's an issue of the freaking like tiny speaker itself. Low, power on, still need to dust it off by the way. And you will hear that we don't have that weird thing going on with that audio. Here we go. I need to shut this thing down separately because it's going to be like an echo. Kind of annoying, but when it comes to the overall like audio, works fine. The controller, already shown you on the video, LED works. So absolutely great. So when it comes to this, oh man, this is a really cool good working feature. Yeah. Alright, let's go. So when you're also going to plug in the HDMI, you will see the display will automatically go out. Okay, so let's take a close look. First, let's play a little bit of Mario Kart just to see actually how this will play. The D-pad is responsive. We don't have like this very sensitivity when it comes to the shoulder buttons anymore. So when it actually comes to the controller, amazing, and this works just like in game system. Okay, the next game I want to try is from my Japanese friend. Let's try a little bit of Street Fighter 2 or 02. Okay, so I just want to also check out what happens if you're going to put it on PAL and you're going to boot up a Japanese game. You will get the message, of course. So it's kind of interesting to see. It will boot up. So let's see what happens if you're going to like boot it up with the different settings. I'm just really curious about this. If this device like says, hey, we're going to put in a different region, we're not going to get the message whatsoever. Do we just still going to get the message? Nope, not at all. So this is just a great test to see if it actually works. Another thing, if you want to put them on widescreen, you can just also do that in the menu itself. So I'm really curious how this D-pad of this freaking controller will play. Of course, we need to try out a Street Fighter game. And pause. And there we go. Let's go. Yep, no problem whatsoever. So the D-pad on the controllers are way better than when it comes to the freaking D-pad on the device itself. Oh yeah, crap, completely forgot he does that. One other thing I wanted to try, what happens if you're going to plug in, or we kept this like controller plugged in and we're going to use the controller port at the bottom. I do have a zooming sound. I don't know, it only was when it comes to the freaking like this game actually. So let's plug this bad boy in. Let's plug in the controller over here. Also for my same Japanese friend, I bought back in the day like this special controller. We'll make a separate video about it. But for now, let's plug it in and let's see actually how this thing works. It's a very unique controller, I love it. So let's plug it in here. Alright, let's see if we can even boot it up. So it doesn't do anything whatsoever. And it's not because this thing is broken, because I know it works. So next thing we do is going to reset the system. And let's see if we can basically get this thing to work. Alright, so I still have anything that... No, there was nothing that will work on this. So the next thing what I can do is like... See, this actually works, so... No, so what we're going to do is remove the batteries of the thing and actually see if this is going to make any difference whatsoever. Alright, let's go. Okay, so that doesn't make any difference. somehow. It's unfortunate the controller that comes, or the controller unit that I bought separately, doesn't seem to be working on here. So that's kind of weird, to be honest. Let's blow it. Let's blow the connector, you know. Don't blow it. Very bad idea. I just want to try it anyway. Okay, so let's grab another controller just to be safe, but I almost for sure the controller is not broken. Alrighty. Let's take a close look at the original controller. Alright, there we go. Yeah, see, same problem. So, do you know what it is? Like, I can still remember when I bought this, let's say, adapter. It can be two things, or the adapter is broken. I did plug it in controller port number 1 for the people who wonder, like, hey, didn't you plug it in here? It can be a couple of things. First, of course, the adapter itself can be broken. I will should like test it on a different system and just see actually how it works. Just want to double check it didn't work because I was pressing the start button and it went to the main menu. But unfortunately this feature, and maybe it's because it already got built-in controller, so it's like having issues with that. So another thing is like I cannot really find any say switches on this thing that says like, hey, we can just plug in like different controllers, switch the switch and just do it like that. Putting up on and off doesn't even work too. So yeah, that's basically the thing when it comes to this, but still doesn't spoil the fun. I really like it for what it can do. Alright, oh, there's still the screw of the controller. Need to close it up, but let's first open it up and I will show you what kind of battery is in here. Because they are using the same kind of stuff they have in the previous one. This is the 18,650 battery. They only like slap two of them together. So the battery packs, I think you can buy them like from AliExpress. You can see there's a connector. So if you need to replace this one, it's not going to be like the biggest issue whatsoever. I'm just going to be honest, I am very satisfied with the result we're getting. It's unfortunate with the, let's say, the converter that it didn't work with my version. It also doesn't have like an IPS panel. But yeah, in the end, like when you're looking at the device, if you want to play, let's say, on the go, but also you want to use it like in Super NES, that feature works very well. The D-pad itself, it's okay. That works way better on the controller. Nevertheless, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what do you think of this, and it would be great to see you in the next video.